Welcome. Episode number lucky 13.
13.
Live with you after dark here on a Friday evening into Saturday morning. Joining me as per usual is Cole Murphy. He is on site and ready to go. We are going to talk about week 12. We'll preview week 13. Some of those games already finishing up, so making the sports book a little harder this week. We'll give you our Heisman updates. And is USC destined for college football playoff glory? Is K-State the favorite for the Big 12? We'll go over NBA, NFL standings, and a lot more, so strap in. And thank you for joining us here for episode 13. Mr. Murphy, how are we doing this evening?
Doing great. A little after dark action.
Yeah, can't go wrong with a little after dark action here on the S0ner Sports Podcast. I guess let's jump into it. Big stuff going on. First of all, I want to say happy Thanksgiving. How was your turkey day?
Oh yeah, great. How was yours?
It was good. It was good. You know, family time, all that stuff. So
a lot of plates.
Yeah, a lot of plates. We were plating it up. I think I had about 4 or 5 plates yesterday. So three. Three for me. Now I say I had 5 plates, but let's just put it this way: I had 3 plates, and then I had like 4 extra sandwiches, which were just slices of ham on like Hawaiian rolls. So I mean, it technically wasn't a plate, but I was still eating. So I'll say probably if you add the 3 sandwiches, 4 plates maybe. So I think we're kind of even on that.
Fair enough.
Let's talk about this last weekend. So let's start out with some of the games that happened last Saturday. Georgia took down Kentucky 16-6. This game was 16-0 for a long time, and I thought Georgia was going to probably put another 16 to 20 points on the board, but they didn't. What was your takeaway from them not blowing out Kentucky? Does that say more about Kentucky, or does that say, is Georgia slipping a little bit?
I mean, Georgia should have scored a lot more points, but I mean, I think Kentucky is a better team than some people would give them credit. I mean, I don't think they're horrible, and I think they proved that, not getting blown out, kind of just hanging around. But yeah, I mean, they're pretty average, but I mean, they've had a few bad losses this year. But Georgia, on the other hand, I felt like they definitely, like I was saying earlier, should have scored at least 30, 35 in this game. So I'm not sure if this is just kind of a midseason bad game, or if maybe this is a Georgia team we're looking at now. So I guess we will see in the SEC championship.
Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty set in stone. I mean, I guess my biggest takeaway from this was just the fact that Georgia didn't cover this game, and I think they were favored by 20 plus. I think it was 22.5. So I mean, definitely a better performance for Kentucky's defense to keep it within 10. I guess you really have to give props to Mark Stoops and really just the way Kentucky played.
Yeah.
Because we saw Missouri play them tough. So Kentucky plays them tough. Kent State played them pretty tough. So and I think that was kind of another headline in this game was, I guess I'm gonna bring this up now, but Joel Klatt for Fox Sports was like, oh, Ohio State's an elite team, and we've known this all season long. And I was like, I don't know about that. You barely beat Maryland. You barely beat Northwestern. Granted, the weather was shit. But I just, I replied, and I was like, well, I mean, I said that, and then I said, Georgia's not invincible either. I don't think there is an elite team this year, and I think that's been proven week in and week out. Is this game, I think, proves that Georgia is a really, really good team, but are they elite? Because when I think of elite, I think of those teams that Nick Saban had with Alabama, that they just didn't lose. You just knew that they were going to take care of business, and I think that's who we kind of thought Georgia was, and I think this kind of kind of further the narrative that they're not. Your thoughts?
They could be. I mean, they definitely have the potential to be a team like that. But I mean, with that low of a score against that average of a team, I can see why you would say that. So I mean, I guess we'll see as far as the SCCA championship, and then as far as if, after that how they do and hold up. So I mean, they do, I believe, have the best chance to win the title this year. I mean, if they're most likely going in at 1 seed and playing that number 4 team, which not really sure that's going to be just yet, but I think it's a team that they could definitely beat for sure, and so that's a ticket right into the championship game versus a team. My opinion, Ohio State is who I think is going to end up getting that championship game against them. But I think they could take care of Ohio State as well. So I think Georgia is elite, but I think they just slip up every now and again. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we say slip up. I mean, they haven't lost, so we can't really say that they've really slipped up. But I guess they
Just some
haven't.
too close or comfort.
Yeah, exactly. Just some close games that probably shouldn't have been close. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, I'll go down the list here. Ohio State beats Maryland 43-30. This was actually a 36-30 ball game, but Talia Tungavailoa fumbles the ball on the backswing inside his own 5 yard line. Ball lands in the end zone. Ohio State jumps on it, and that's how they ended up winning that game by 13 instead of by 6. So I mean, Maryland had a chance with, I don't know, I want to say less than a minute left to try to drive the field and take that game by 1 point, but instead, like I said, fumble in the end zone. Ohio State recovers, and that was the point I was making. Was this is another one of those games where it's like it's Maryland. They're not terrible, but this is a team that if you're Ohio State, you taking care of this team by the expected 17 to 20 points would have looked a lot better than this did heading into this weekend against Michigan. I
Mm,
mean, I'm sure you agree with that, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of the short. I kind of went on with that game a little bit with the Georgia game, so I didn't really feel like we had to really touch on that super hard. But another team that struggled. Michigan only beat Illinois by 2 points, 19-17. It was at home too for Michigan, so I mean that was kind of a little eye popping for me. I had my eyes tabbed on that while I was at work watching what I thought was Michigan possibly losing this game. What were your takeaways from the Illini giving them a tough little jab?
I don't think Michigan's that team. I think they've been struggling all year in a conference that hasn't been very challenging. I just don't think Michigan has what it takes this year. I think they've just been getting it done specifically for the fact that they have an offense that can score, and they do have a Heisman um, front runner, I guess you could say right now, with Curum at the running back. So I mean, I just don't think Michigan is the team to that I don't think they have any shot against Ohio State, and I think was a game that just showed you that they're not who their ranking has them out to be right now. So
Yeah, and we'll definitely get evidence of that tomorrow. Another game that was down to the wire. TCU wins on a last second field goal. They beat Baylor 29-28. So they they didn't cover that 2 point spread. Baylor did, but they didn't. We thought that, considering how bad Baylor had played the last couple of weeks, that maybe TCU was going to roll, and it just wasn't the case. Dave Aranda had a very good defensive plan, as we thought he would, but the offense played a little better than we thought Baylor's offense would play, and they really had this game uh, all the way until that last kick. I really thought that TCU had a chance to lose that game for sure, and being down the way they were with less than 6 minutes to go, we were kind of looking at each other like, is this gonna happen? Like, is Baylor gonna be the one that ruins the Big 12's chances of being in the playoff again? And it didn't happen. But what were your takeaways from the nail biter?
yeah, this was a game very exciting game. One of my favorite games this year actually. This is what I was scared of. This is what I was telling you about Dave Aranda. I mean, this guy has almost had TCU's numbers. I mean, this guy knew something we didn't, and from what I was saying earlier, his mindset with his defensive mindset, he knows how to shut those big time offenses down and put a good game in. So he's Baylor's. I think. I mean, they beat OU. They're not a bad team, and really close to beating OSU. So it's just like Baylor, I think they are better than what they show, but that was a great game. TCU finding a way to get it done. Another week. What's up with these TCU last second comebacks? I mean, it had my heart racing when the team is running out onto the field with 10 seconds to kick a field goal. Like that was very scary. And good thing he made that, because if he missed that, I think that kicker might have had death threats in Fort Worth. I don't know your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely on suicide watch or mob watch. That it wouldn't have been good.
Misses a PAT and
Oof.
then misses a game-winning field goal. Hey, let's get this guy out of Fort Worth.
Yeah, they would be they'd be like, when's kicking tryouts so we can get a soccer player in here or something. Um, yeah, no, great win for TCU. They somehow just keep finding a way, and you can't really knock them for that. And the Icy Whites get it done. Um,
Baylor's a great team.
they
Baylor's a
are,
great
they are.
team.
They're very
Gotta like
underrated. I were they preseason top 10 worthy? No, but I mean, I have a hard time not having the Bears ranked at all this season in this late
it's
stretch. It's
tough.
just it's rough
It's tough.
because they deserve better, but they've lost some games they shouldn't have, and it's been kind of one of those.
BYU. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it's been one of those. So it's it's been all right, but it hasn't been exactly what Bear fans thought. But I mean, hey, you fought hard, you almost had it. But props TCU for pulling it out. And here's the shocker coming up: was South Carolina blowing the doors off of Tennessee, 63-38. Of course, Hendon Hooker leaves the game in the midway through the third quarter, tears his ACL, done for the year. Backup comes in and throws a pick six, and then it just kind of unraveled even more from there. But South Carolina and Spencer Rattler just putting them on. Spencer Rattler throws for 438 yards. And 6 touchdowns. So, your takeaways from this shocking result on the road for the Volunteers?
man, being a Tennessee fan, and you know how hard I was pulling for them this season, with having such a great start, and of course beating Alabama. So, I gotta hit this real quick just for good measure. But tough way to end the season, man. ACL gone. Uh, CPF hopes crushed
Yeah,
by
crushed.
Spencer Rattler, man. What the fuck, man? Spencer Rattler, what the fuck, man? Wow. Plays the out of his mind, dude. That's an unbelievable how he really drew up and had Tennessee's number like that, and just was like, hold on, let me play NCAA mode real quick and and do a perfect game real quick. Like Spencer Rattler looks like he went in there and changed the settings to freshman mode on that when before he played Tennessee, because that was embarrassing that he was able to give that Tennessee defense 63 points with 0 interceptions and however many hell of the yards he had. It was unbelievable. Probably the best game I've seen by just a quarterback alone this year, at least not top three. And I think this really just solidifies his draft stock, and definitely gets him a spot in the league. And I think, my opinion, he should definitely get a contract off that alone, because if you can do that to an SEC defense, I mean, you can do something in the NFL. And that's what these NFL teams need nowadays: mobile quarterbacks. And I think Spencer Rattler is that guy. So great win. Very disappointing loss for Tennessee, and a very disappointing end of that season. So I mean, go Gamecocks, I guess.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
Spencer Rattler, I guess.
Yeah, I mean he's got one more year left before he can be eligible for the draft, so we'll get another
Hey,
year
even
of
better,
Spencer.
even better,
Yeah, so I mean
even better.
it's going to attract some recruits. Obviously, if you have a quarterback that can throw the ball like that, you'll get some wide receivers in that are going to want a share of the ball there, and that helps you
Hey,
out.
hey, the New York Jets need a quarterback. The New York Giants need a quarterback. I could go on and on.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely this next year's draft, not this year, but next year's is definitely going to be stacked more with NFL talent with him and Caleb Williams and all them coming out next year.
Probably see Casey Thompson in that draft as well. I mean,
Maybe if he gets a starting job somewhere else, because he ain't starting at Nebraska anymore. So I mean,
ouch.
like that's rough.
It's
But
just the NFL is looking for all those mobile quarterback.
yeah,
You can't really you they it's so just vital to have that extra little bit of speed or ability to get out of the pocket and run, because that's the game nowadays. That's where the champions are at in the NFL. I know there's a little off on my little NFL tangent because we're so good at picking NFL
Eek,
teams. Not
eek,
kidding,
eek,
but
eek, eek.
but
um,
yeah, that's what you need in the NFL. But
yeah, I mean,
back to
everybody's
college football, folks.
yeah, everybody's looking for the next Patrick Mahomes. That's that they're just
No,
hoping.
literally,
They're hoping,
literally.
and with those kind of numbers, I mean, the thing is Patrick Mahomes did put up a lot of numbers at Texas Tech, but they didn't win a lot of games. So it doesn't mean that just because
Casey,
you're a loser
Casey
in college that you'll be
Thompson,
a loser in the NFL. So, um,
Casey Thompson. You might
hey,
have a shot, man.
I'd have a shot. Other games, LSU blew out UAB 41-10. They did what they were supposed to. This game, if you didn't pick the over in this next game, you were stupid as hell because the over was like 76. It was UCLA and USC, and this game got over 93 points easily as USC escapes 48-45, picking off DTR in the last minute of that game to seal it as UCLA was trying to drive down to either tie or win that game. Couldn't get it done. So USC continues to skate by as well. What was your takeaway from points out in Pasadena?
That was a great game. Two really competitive offenses, two great quarterbacks. Very fun, exciting game to watch. Oop, need to get the lights back on. Uh, But yeah, great game. Obviously USC pulling out the win. Bruins very tough. I mean, just a few plays their way, and that would have been the other way that game. So I mean, um, USC obviously gets the job done here. So should see them there in the Pac-12 against your Ducks, right?
Yeah, the Ducks took care of Utah 20-17 in the final moments. Bo Nix throws a pick with under 3 minutes to go, try to give Utah a chance to go down and tie or take the lead. And then 2 plays later, uh, you had a pick by the Utah quarterback, and that kind of sealed it for them. And Oregon was able to run out the clock and escape with a 3-point win. So good win for them. They've got a big test against Oregon State today at 2:30. So we'll see how that goes for them. Other games as well. Georgia Tech upsets North Carolina 21-17. Georgia Tech, a terrible football team. How does North Carolina keep dropping the bag like this? I mean, because
Yeah,
think about this, Cole. I mean, you win this game against Georgia Tech, and spoiler alert, but they lost tonight too. So I mean, it's
yeah.
definitely over as far as a chance to win the ACC and get in. Clemson took care of Miami, but they're out of the conversation anyway, so that doesn't really matter. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, but for North Carolina, definitely a disappointing ending stretch for them, as these were your gimme games, and you just couldn't get it done. Um, that was that was kind of a shock to me. I don't know how you want to look at it. I mean, Georgia Tech won this game by not throwing the football because Drake May, the starting quarterback for North Carolina, only had 202 yards and led for the game. So you know Georgia Tech
Yeah.
was running the football. Um, I just think it just says a lot about North Carolina and their lack of offensive execution and just kind of the fluidity of that offense just kind of is easily stopped.
Yeah, just a disappointing loss here for them, of course. Uh, kind of putting their season. I mean, not a horrible season, but got to have those games and got to close those out to be elite. And I think North Carolina just got exposed for being average. So I mean, that was my takeaway.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Another upset. Arkansas beats Ole Miss 42-27. Um, Lane Kiffin looking like he might be on his way out to Auburn to take over that head coaching job.
On
No,
to the next one.
yeah, no concrete evidence of that. But that was the rumor. He shot it down obviously when he was asked. But he's shot down that question at pressers before and then left. You know, insert Tennessee, insert Oakland Raiders, insert whatever team you want. He's done the Lane Kiffin hop even after being like, oh no, I'm staying. So I mean, we don't know really what to believe. But a big win for Arkansas.
Great coach. Very
Yeah,
great
and
coach.
he is. He's a good coach, and that's what and I was saying that on Thursday on Thanksgiving we were talking about it as we were watching them play and lose again as
Hmm.
Mississippi State beat them in a thriller. We'll get to that in a moment. but definitely a big win for the Hogs. Washington beats Colorado 54-7. The Buffaloes are just terrible. Notre Dame beats Boston College 44-0. They take care of business there. Florida State gets the win over Louisiana 49-17. Another upset. Navy upsets UCF 17-14. The Midshipmen get the win over the 20th ranked
Good job,
UCF
Navy.
Black Knights. So good for them. Oklahoma State OU. This game, OU jumped out 28-0. Oklahoma State did not let them score a point the rest of the game. All three quarters shut them out, but was only able to muster 13 points offensively. Spencer Sanders still throws for 381 yards, but throws 3 picks and could have probably thrown 5 or 6 the way he was playing. What were your takeaways from Bedlam? I mean, was this a game that OU won outright, or was this a game that OSU kind of lost here?
Just embarrassing. I mean, for OSU, I mean, they're very far more talented team than OU, and they've proven that this year. And they just shut up down to Norman, and I don't know if they didn't get very much sleep the night before or what really happened there. But I mean, just an embarrassing game for Spencer Sanders. With being as good of a quarterback he is, seemed like everything that left his fingers was going to be a pick six. So I mean, that's not what you want from your quarterback. And at about the third quarter, I was like just telling everybody I was watching the game with, they need to just get this guy out the game. I don't know if somebody was in his head or if it was just a bad game for him, but yeah, very embarrassing for him. He is the reason I think they lost because I mean, an OSU team that we've seen previous put up obviously an easy 35 points. That obviously took care of the Sooners there. So I don't think the Sooners played a very good game at all. I mean, the amazing first quarter, amazing first quarter. Where was that all year long? Like if we can do that in the first quarter of that game, why the hell have we not been doing it all year long? So that was kind of upsetting. But then, of course, in Sooner fashion this year, shows you the type of team they are, and takes the next 3 quarters and just shits it away and still gives the Cowboys a chance to come back. But just with Spencer Sanders having such an awful game, I mean, the Cowboys really never could crawl back from that first quarter beatdown. But I think the Sooners played like shit after. I mean, I think uh, coach was talking about the defense and how great a game they played, and I mean, I just think it was Spencer Sanders having, I don't know if somebody in his head or maybe a girl messing with him or whatever happened. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed the morning of Bedlam. So just an awful game. I hate to talk this badly on him, but you can't throw almost like damn near 8 interceptions during your rivals. I mean, yeah. Hopefully OSU gets a decent bowl game, but Sooners just an awful season, and thankfully they got that. I mean, that's a big win. Of course, you always want to win Bedlam, so good job, Sooners, I guess.
Yeah, I mean bowl eligible. So there you go. You have that to look forward to. Um,
Yay.
the thing about it is you think look at this game and OSU had 19 possessions, right? Um,
Yeah.
and and they only scored on three of them. He scored at the end
Yeah.
of the half with the field goal to make it 28-3, which a lot of OSU fans were screaming, "Why aren't we going for it on 4th and 2 with with 2 minutes left in this half?" Like I don't understand. Which
Yeah.
I kind of got it, but the other hand, I was like, look, you got a whole half to play. If your defense can
Mm.
play well, you give yourself a chance. And the defense played exceptionally well for Oklahoma State, shutting out the Sooners second half. I don't know what Dylan Gabriel was looking at, 0 for 11,
Yeah.
for almost the whole entire rest of the way.
It was awful.
The running game couldn't get going, but the big shock to me was OSU's running game couldn't get going. The weakness of this OU defense has been the run
Sorry
game.
to interrupt. Where was y'all's running back Richardson?
So
Where was that guy?
Richardson did play. But we had Johnson in there as well for Oklahoma State, and you had Nixon, which is kind of the speed guy, right? They pulled Richardson out of the game because they didn't feel like power running was going to get them anywhere. Because OU's front seven decided to show up for the first time this season. So they were like, we can't run in between the tackles. So all we got is this speedster back here. And Nixon played most of the game because they said, he's the guy that can get the edge over these
Yeah.
other two. And it just didn't work out anyways. It was just the offensive line was getting no push. And that's what we
I think that's
expected.
yeah. that's a big mistake not playing that guy. That guy's an athlete, and he runs the ball like a running back should. I think he really would have helped you guys out. At least open up maybe a pay play option, pass option,
Play
run
action.
pass
Yeah,
option.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, it was
I think having
a
him would
lot of
open that up.
missed opportunities. St0ner Sanders had a guy wide open in the end zone one play and
Oh
just
yeah,
missed him. Didn't even throw him. Didn't even see him. Didn't even throw his direction. Just dumped it off. Just checked down Andy all game long. It just didn't keep his eyes down the field. It just seemed as if he was a freshman again. I don't understand how you devolve like that. Now I get that he wasn't healthy and didn't play like 3 weeks in a row. Like I get that, but that's no excuse
shoulder or
for
whatever. Yeah,
that's no excuse for being mentally unprepared. That's his
yeah.
mental not being prepared, and that's unacceptable. Which is why he's going to come back next season as a fifth-year senior. He's not going to go to the draft this year, and we'll get to see another year of Spencer Sanders behind center for the Cowboys, which may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. But he definitely needs another year because his draft stock has just plummeted. Um,
Yeah.
it's plummeted more than Tesla's stock after Elon bought Twitter. It's just dropped. But overall, I mean, I can't even say that was an entertaining game because all the points happened in the first quarter, and the second
Yeah.
half was just OU couldn't do anything, boring to watch. OSU couldn't do anything, boring to watch. And the game lasted 4.5 hours. So I mean, because everybody was punting and nobody, the clock was stopped with so many incompletions, nobody could complete a pass. It was embarrassing on that front. But rivalry games are going to be rivalry games, and this may be the last one between these two teams for a long time. So, soak it in. Congratulations, Sooner fans! Another one now. What, like 98-13 and whatever. I mean, it's just it's I mean, go ahead. I mean, it's it's Norman. You guys are great in Norman and have one of the highest winning percentages there since 1998, which is like 137 and 3 or 13 or something like that. It's just crazy. Most of those have
I think they're gonna do Bedlam at the beginning of the year and kind of have it like be a non-conference game. I think that'd be exciting
they
for the
should.
fans. I think that would be a cool thing to do, and they could put it about the third game, which everybody should be locked in by the third game, which it's could still be a non-conference, but I think two teams are very competitive, and I think it would be a good third game of the season for them.
Yeah, I think they should do something like that as well. Other games that went on, Oregon State took care of ASU 31-7. Louisville upsets NC State 25-10. Cincinnati gets the win over Temple 23-3. Scrolling down here, Texas gets the win over Kansas 55-14. Just blows out. The Jayhawks did not see that one coming personally. Other than that, that was pretty much the highlight of last weekend were those games. So good for nobody in particular other than some
That game was very tough.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what happened. I'm not really sure what happened in Kansas.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't just crap the bed. So that's last week.
Yeah.
Let's look at this week. So obviously with Thanksgiving coming up, they had games on Thursday. We had Mississippi State beating Ole Miss 24-22. That game was very entertaining, coming down to a missed 2-point conversion for Ole Miss and then couldn't get the onside kick afterwards. They had the right play for that 2-point conversion too. It was one of those where the quarterback takes the snap and there's that halfback in the middle of the line, like a screen kind of in the middle of the line, and you're supposed to just kind of act like you're going to pitch it out to the other halfback, but then you shovel pass it inside, and the defensive lineman came in and just said nope and batted it away, because if the halfback would have caught that, he would have walked in.
Yeah.
So that was that was that game.
Yeah,
and
that
then,
play's got to work perfectly. You got to do it all. It's all timing perfect.
Yeah, and the timing got thrown off, and that's all it took. Other games happening tonight, actually, this Friday night that we're doing this at, Florida and Florida State. Florida State gets the win, 45-38. Florida goes, and remember, Florida was at one time ranked number 9 in the country, and I told you, it ain't happening. And now Florida State, after being ranked 16th, they're going to go up a little bit more. NC State beats UNC in double overtime, 30-27. So back-to-back tough losses, like I said, for the Tar Heels. they've completely just kind of fallen apart here at the end. UCLA skating by Cal 35-28. That game also coming down to the wire. Tulane got the win over Cincinnati 27-24. And Texas beats Baylor 38-27 at home. Arkansas loses to Missouri 29-27. So after they just demoralized Ole Miss, they come and just crap the bed and turn into Missouri again. So I don't know what the hell happened there. Nebraska went up 17-0 against Iowa, but only wins that game by 7, 24-17. And right now, currently, Wyoming is playing Fresno State, and I think Fresno State is just kicking the absolute crap out of them right now. I think it was 17-0 Fresno State, and they had picked off
Snooze
Wyoming again.
fest.
Yeah, just snoozer. So, those are kind of the games that are going on. Obviously the Texas,
On the
Baylor,
podcast
the
during
Tex.
your game for a snooze fest.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously the Texas Baylor game gives Texas a chance. If Kansas wins tomorrow, Texas will go play TCU in the Big 12 title game. If Kansas State can take care of the Jayhawks, they will be there. So that game right
Hey, is
there.
Martinez back? Is Martinez going to be back for that?
I my connotation is he might be. I have a strong feeling that he should be. I'm not sure about
If he
that, but
is, that's going to be a good one.
yeah, if he is, I feel a lot better about Kansas State's chances against TCU. And if he's back against Kansas, I give them even a better chance to get that done. But if Kansas
Mm-hmm.
wins, which again, Kansas not the Kansas that you think you knew, so I mean that's another thing to keep in mind. But those are the games that have gone on so far. Heading into the noon Eastern 11 a.m. Central slot for tomorrow, Michigan plays Ohio State. That game obviously going to be where most of the eyeballs are going to be at the 11 o'clock time slot, as Georgia Tech will take on Georgia as well at 11 o'clock. Clemson takes on South Carolina. It's rivalry week except for OU and OSU this week. Everybody except for them, this is their rivalry week. OSU plays West Virginia at 11 a.m. So I mean, these games, obviously, are decent. So give me your breakdown of this Michigan Ohio State game, because like we said, both these teams are coming off of not very impressive wins. Is that gonna mean that we're looking at like a 17-14 game tomorrow, or should we just push those games aside and say they were both looking ahead to this week, and that this is just kind of a new thing now?
Oh yeah, this is easy. Ohio State is going to roll here. Like I was saying earlier, with Michigan, they're a fraud, and their offense for Ohio State has so many weapons to get it done. I want to hear the spread on this game first, but
Ohio
I mean,
State,
I think Ohio State's
Ohio
going.
State's favored by 8.
Yeah, I think at least 8. I mean, for sure. Yeah, I was thinking 2 touchdowns, so or at least something maybe like 34 to maybe 10 or 17, something around there. So two touchdowns. So I'll definitely go with that spread on there. The
Yeah. So yeah, Ohio State
8.
favored um by 8 in that one. Going down the list here. Another good game in the afternoon, number 25, Louisville and Kentucky. Doesn't really matter unless you live in Kentucky, but hey, I mean, it's a game. Hey, the Iron Bowl between Auburn and Alabama is at 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern as well. Alabama, I believe, is favored by a gajillion points in this game. I'd be surprised if they weren't. I'm looking now. Okay, get a number, please. Ringing for the Vegas hotline here. Where is it? Probably. Yeah. Alabama favored by 22 and a half. So I mean,
No
I
love for
no love,
the Auburn Tigers.
none. Um, but here's the game that kind of scares me. Oregon is only a 3-point favorite against Oregon State on the road in Corvallis. Um, This game, we lost last year. Um, it could be another one of those games where we just don't show up for whatever reason. Give me your thoughts on how you think this game is going to go with that low of a spread.
I think you guys still take care of business. I mean, I think Oregon is better this year, so I think, and of course, better than Oregon State. Even though Oregon State does tend to play pretty good at home. I like the spread here, and I think you guys take care of it and have at least 3 points win. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is going to have to be all Bo Nix. This is going to have to be your chance to try to say yes, we should be playing USC next week. Um, so got to win this game to really solidify it. Tickets for that game pretty pricey. Average ticket price $124 a ticket. So people definitely up there in Corvallis want to see that football game. Another game that's going on that kind of has some oomph to it. Iowa State is traveling on the road to go play TCU. TCU is only a 9.5-point favorite. I mean, the thing about Iowa State is this: is somehow, some way, Iowa State always ends up, you know, uh, getting somebody right in the Achilles. Just they're that splinter that you just can't get out. Please ask OSU how it went in 2012 when they lost down there in Ames. Tell them how it went again the next year after that. I mean, it's just, whenever it seems like the Big 12 has this team that's like, yes, like this is them. Iowa State comes down and says, this is our time. This is our Super Bowl. We're going to play this game the hardest we can, and they end up upsetting these top 5 teams. Is TCU in danger at all this weekend, or am I just scared because I've seen it happen too many times?
Iowa State's not the team this year. I mean, if we were talking about last year's Iowa State team, I would say yes. But the Iowa State this year, they're not a bad team, but they're not enough to take care of the Horned Frogs. I mean, college football playoffs are at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time picking Iowa State to keep this game within 10. But the way they've been playing defensively, their defense is really good. Their quarterback play is mid. They do have a really good wide receiver. So the offense is not completely inept of getting points. TCU's defense has kind of looked a little shaky the last couple weeks, but there hasn't really been anything that's gotten to the point where it scares me that TCU is going to lose this game. So I kind of have to agree with you there. I think that TCU takes care of business there. Other games going on this afternoon, not really anything huge between ranked teams. Let's head to the evening slate here, where number 15 Notre Dame is traveling to the Coliseum to play USC. This game is USC favored by 4.5. Give me your thoughts on the Golden Domers and the Trojans. No, maybe not.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hey, what was that question? It had cut out real bad there.
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying, Notre Dame and USC. USC is favored by 4.5. Do you think Notre Dame's got a shot here, or is this still the Notre
Oh,
Dame team that lost to Marshall?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I want to say Notre Dame does. I mean, their defense has been playing a lot better, but then of course with the mastermind Lincoln Riley behind it, I think they're just too much for Notre Dame to handle. So I like USC here. What is the spread on that one?
4.5. USC is favored by 4.5.
4.5 USC.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Since Vegas knows pretty much everything, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time. I want Notre Dame to win this game, but I think USC probably takes care of business here. Look, I mean, we've said it all year. Notre Dame is not great, but they're not garbage, right? I mean, sure, you lost to Ohio State by like 10 week 1. That's okay. But then you lost to Marshall, and then you lost to Stanford. I mean, it's just, those are the kind of teams you can't really lose to if you're Notre Dame and wanting to stay relevant. But they've climbed all the way back up to number 15 in the country, respectable. They've been on a little bit of a winning streak, and they beat some good teams along the way. So I'm not gonna completely rule them out. I mean, they took care of Clemson pretty easily. So I mean, but I haven't really been high on Clemson all year, so I'm not really tooting my own horn, being like, oh yeah, Clemson sucks. Like, I mean, I think everybody kind of saw the Dabo Sweeney train kind of getting derailed when the quarterback play fell off a cliff. Um, but yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think USC takes care of business here, but I'll be rooting for the Irish for sure.
Yep, same here.
Um, like I said, the other game to talk about, Kansas at Kansas State. The spread on this game is Kansas State minus 12. So they think at least a touchdown and a field goal by the Wildcats will seal the fate for Kansas. Any chance that we get some upset action, or is K State just destined for a Big 12 championship appearance?
Yeah, I don't think Kansas, especially coming off that loss last week, has enough to take care of the Wildcats. And Martinez is back.
Let me check Reno. I will check right now. Um,
If he's back for sure, for sure. But their backup's still pretty good as well. I think they still end up Kansas State still end up taking care of Kansas regardless. But I would like to know if Martinez is in there.
I mean, they're still talking about Will Howard playing quarterback here. Let's go to the roster and see history.
What did he do anyways? Is it shoulder or what's wrong with him?
Let's see here. He is listed as active 22 days ago. Last 1 month ago, K State starts Howard over injured Martinez. A week later, K State. It says he's active. It says he's not hurt anymore. He has 6 touchdowns, a pick, 1,200 yards, QBR of 73, which is pretty solid. I can look at Will Howard real quick and see his QBR is Will Howard's QBR is 90. He's got 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 2 picks. So I mean, they might just be playing the better quarterback. I mean, maybe Adrian Martinez lost his starting job because it lists him as active. So it might not matter. It might just be Will Howard is the guy now. Which is kind of sad for Adrian because he's not playing bad.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't have that guy in there. He's such an athlete, he's such a stud.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get some shared snaps here, but I mean, as far as I'm looking at, it looks like Will Howard is going to be the starter at least this weekend. Does that mean something different might be for the Big 12 championship game if they win? Maybe. We'll have another week to speculate, but that kind of wraps up this week previewing those games that are coming up tomorrow. A game that isn't happening tomorrow is Virginia and Virginia Tech. That game has been canceled due to the death of those 3 football players that got shot on the bus by a former teammate. Our thoughts.
That's really crazy. Yeah, that shit is really crazy.
Our thoughts are with them, as that is unbelievable. But that is the look inside college football as a whole. Let's take a look at our Heisman watch list, as things have definitely shaken up quite a bit here.
Brought to you by Ballscape.
Yeah, brought to you by Ballscape. Best a man can scrape. Let's see, where is it at? So, week 12, you had Stroud, Hooker, Duggan, Corum, and Williams as your 5. Obviously, I think you have some changes, so let me know where you're at now, Mr. Cole.
So, leading the way, number 1, of course, still CJ Stroud, Ohio State. at number 2, specifically, oh, it's tough. It's really tough, but I think I have to move Caleb Williams up the board just with all the hype right now. As much as I don't really like him at 2, I think just a lot of his plays this year, and of course that big win last week, pushed him up the board. Number 3, and which will fall after this week, I believe, unless he has a great game, which I don't doubt he will. But Blake Corum at number 3. Max Duggan, which he'll move up to 3 next week after Corum, unless Corum has a bad game. But Duggan at 4 for me. And number 5 goes to, as of week 13, I'm gonna have to put, because I want to say this one's tough. This number 5's tough because are they bringing 4? Is it only 4
I want to say 3.
to New York, or
3 or
there's 3? Okay,
yeah, I think 3 or
so I want to
4.
say Drake May for UNC, but of course that bad loss. But I mean he has those good numbers. So
Well, I
who's oh yeah, so I might need a second on my 5, but who do you have
so
for your list? And I'll throw my 5 in there because I'm debating on 5 still. The 5's kind of irrelevant. I think we got our
yeah.
top 3. We
So
got our number 4s in there, but
so I am having a reappearance. So last week I had Stroud, Duggan, Williams, Hooker, and Corum as my 5.
yeah,
Um, so now obviously Stroud has stayed the same, and Stroud has been the constant all year for me as my number 1 pick. Um, number 2 right now is Caleb Williams for me as well, just because the stats are kind of hard not to turn an eye. He has been playing exceptionally well. He is amazing to watch. Um, so I can't really dunk that. But getting back on the list, and getting back on the list in a big way, my boy Bryce Young coming in at number 3, the Alabama quarterback jumping from the depths to snatch Hendon Hooker's ACL and push him out of the way. Gotta have another SEC quarterback in there, and I just don't believe that Stetson Bennett is the guy. So I'm gonna put Bryce Young in my 3 spot with Duggan at number 4. I think Duggan's spot solely depends on him getting TCU solidly into the college football playoff. If you take care of Iowa State and you take care of the Big 12 championship game, you've got that 3 spot locked. See you in New York. Number 5, I'm going to go with Blake Corum just because, like you said, if this is, even if he has a good game tomorrow, if they lose, I just think that's enough. I mean, it's just enough for me to say it's just not impressive enough. He's a really good running back, and I think obviously he has an NFL future ahead of him. Somebody's going to draft him very high. He gives me Breece Hall vibes with just his reliability and just what you can kind of expect from him week in and week out. But if you lose this game this weekend, I don't see how I can convince myself to let you put on a suit and go to New York just to sit there anyways.
yeah, and coming in, I like that list, by the way. Coming in at my 5, like you were saying, I'm gonna have to throw him on my list specifically because his team is number 1, specifically because he's been playing pretty well. Um, with a big win against Tennessee, obviously. Back when that was a big game. Stetson Bennett,
Yeah.
Georgia. Give me 5, Stetson Bennett. Lock it in.
All right.
That's my 5. That's my 5 as of right now. Lock it in. Bennett's on it.
All right.
I think the committee. I think the committee just loved his whole story, and especially with Georgia, if they win it again, I mean, it's just the Hollywood poster season for Stetson Bennett. So
Yeah.
get your Heisman. Get your Heisman, knowing he's probably not going to pan out in the NFL. Get your Heisman at least, and keep coming back to the Heisman house to
Yeah.
vote for the next Heisman.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's our Heisman update for you. Definitely some developments as the Hendon Hooker injury has opened some eyes. So let's head out to our favorite place to be, the S0ner Sportsbook, where if you look at last week, hey, Could have been worse. It has been worse, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So if you look at last week, we both took TCU minus the 2. They did not get that done. So I lost $100. You lost 50 on that one. I took OU minus 7. That got the job done. I had $500 riding on the Sooners. You lose 25 as you had taken the more talented Oklahoma State Cowboys that decided to poo-poo pee-pee the bed. We took USC minus 2 as well against UCLA. That one was a winner as they got the win by 3. I took Kansas plus 9. Terrible decision as they lost 55-14 to Texas. And I picked the Oregon Ducks to cover, and they did. They get the win over the Utah Utes by 2. You had taken Utah in that one, so you go 2-3 this weekend. I go 3-2. That puts us at 38-21 for me with a 64% winning percentage. And for Cole, that's 53% win percentage, 31 and 28 on the season. So both of us are still winning this season. Cole is 3 games above 500. I am 17 games above 500. So if you're listening to us and you're using our picks in states that can do sports gambling, then you're still making money. So quit bitching about bad weekends because they don't come very often here if you listen to the podcast. So Cole, you have $195 to play with this week. I have $1,125 as my $6,000 jackpot has dwindled away throughout the season with my one parlay hit of the year. So I've already got these written down. So game number 1, Ohio State versus Michigan. Ohio State favored by 8. How much money are we putting on the Buckeyes, sir?
Buckeyes get a Benjamin Franklin.
Ooh, okay. He's starting off strong. $100 on Michigan. You know what? I am going, on Michigan. $100 on Ohio State. I'm also taking Ohio State minus the 8. Give me 300 big ones on the Buckeyes. Next game on the list, Oregon playing Oregon State. This is a 3-point spread in favor of the Ducks. Who are we taking and how much money are we putting on that? You got $95 left.
25 for the Duckers.
Okay, 25 for the Duckerinos. You know what? I've got to put more faith in my boys. I don't feel confident about this, but I'm going to put 300 on them as well. So that'll get me a little bit closer to halfway of my money gone. Next game on the list, TCU and Iowa State. TCU favored by 9.5. How much money are we putting on the Froggies?
$40 for the Frogs.
How many?
$40 for the Frogs.
Okay, $40 for the Frogs. That leaves you with $30. You want to put 15 on the last 2 games?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
15 on the last 2.
Okay, we'll put 15 on the last 2 there. TCU minus the 9.5. I like that as well. Give me a 250 on the Horned Frogs to get that done. Next game on the list is USC minus 4.5 against Notre Dame. You've got $15 on the line, but who's going to get it, Notre Dame or USC?
USC is going to win that one and cover on their spread.
Well, you know how I like to roll. And I've been listening to Randy a little bit at work, all right? And Randy's up and Randy got to me today. He said, "You know what? We're going to win tomorrow." And I said, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm going with the Golden Domers to cover at least. I mean, give me a 3-point loss at least, please." I'm picking Notre Dame to cover the 4.5 and possibly ruin USC's chance at a college football playoff berth. And I am going to put $100 on that. And I guess go Golden Domers. I can't stay away
Fair enough.
from this game, and it might come back to just absolutely haunt me. Last game.
Coach Randy got you fired up.
Yeah,
for the, Notre Dame.
Right. K-State playing Kansas. That's the last game I'm going with. Spread on this one is Kansas State minus 12.
Hate to go against the Jayhawks, but 15 for the K-State Wildcats.
Yeah, and I'm also rolling with K-State on this one. What have I got left here? 300, 600,
Thought thought
8
I'd get put some
859.
little bit more money on the golden
Say
little apple.
950 950. That's 50. So I got $75 I'm gonna put on the Wildcats. So that will do it for this week. So hey, this could be it. Cole's looking parlay right in the face here. He's picking all the favorites, no upsets. He's going straight chalk here.
Straightforward, straight at it. We're locked in. That is also brought to you by Ballscape, the your favorite
It is. It is.
lock of the week.
It is. It is. So let's talk a little bit about this Notre Dame USC game before we get out of
Okay.
here and look at some of the other headlines here. So USC, are they destined for the college football playoff? Now, the reason I say that is I looked at CBS yesterday and I looked at their bowl games, and they had their top four. They had was Georgia at 1. They had um Ohio State 2, TCU at 3, and USC at 4. Because they believe that with Ohio State beating Michigan, that will knock Michigan completely out of the race. And they think that there is just no way that Georgia loses the SEC championship game, and they think there's no way that TCU doesn't win out. So, yes, right now CBS is projecting USC in that 4 spot, which would require them to not only beat Notre Dame, but also beat what should be Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game as well. What are your thoughts on people thinking that TCU is going to jump up to 3 and play Ohio State instead of staying at 4 and playing Georgia and having USC maybe slip into that 4 spot?
I think that's exactly how it's going to shake out. I actually like that call. I think USC is going to beat their next 2 opponents and get in that 4th slot. And I think they're going to move TCU up specifically just because Michigan's going to lose, so they'll drop back, which is only allowing them to move up a slot. So I think that's how they're for. I like that playoff. I think it gives Georgia an opportunity just to stomp on USC, and I think OU fans are gonna love that. And then I think TCU gives them a very competitive game against Ohio State. So it should be a very big game for them there, and hopefully they keep it close and come out with the win. But I don't think the Horned Frogs are good enough to be our next national championships. But hey, coming from the Big 12, we're pulling for you. Go Froggers!
Hey, I can't deny that. I just wanted to see what you thought about the likelihood of USC slipping in there, and I mean I like it,
I think
and
they will. Yeah.
I like it unless they got to go through my ducks and I don't like it. But I mean it's possible that
Ah,
it's possible it could happen, and I wouldn't be surprised the way Caleb Williams is playing. So the other headline I want to look at is K-State. Do they have a chance at all to not only win tomorrow, which we both picked them to do that, but if they do, then they've got a date with TCU again. TCU and K-State 2, Electric Boogaloo. And last time it was not. It was a little bit of a nail biter. Um, yeah, any chance that K-State learns anything and gets one over on the Horned Frogs, or is purple just destined to be a color we'll see at the CFP?
yeah. I mean, TCU. Um, if that comes out that way, they will win against K State. But I mean, K State's have been a great team and a really fun team to watch this year, and better than what we've been looking at in the past few years. So I mean, I think they'll give them a good fight. But I mean, I just don't think Kansas State's good enough to beat TCU, especially with how we've seen TCU play in the past few weeks, just always finding a way to get a win, no matter if it's close or even just a few seconds. So I like TCU all day long. Go Frog, go Horned Frogs. I'm a big advocate. Max Duggan for Heisman. I still need my the flag with the Horned Frog. I need that. That's so clean. Do you see that flag I sent you?
Yeah, I saw that. That,
You
that
can,
is
you
clean.
can order. You can order those. I need that.
That is clean. That would be cool to have, for sure. So
Such a
that,
cool flag. Like,
yeah, yeah. Um, so let's take a look here. We'll go around and look here at the NBA real quick. We'll look at the conference standings. Brought to you by Ballscape, best a man can scrape. Whenever you want that feeling of your scrotum being slammed in the passenger side door of a mid-sized sedan, it is Ballscaped. Um, so look, nothing much is really.
promo code SUBSCIBE.
Yep, with a 0 instead of a O. So make sure you
There
get
you
your
go.
69% off. Um, not a lot shaken up in the East. Boston and Milwaukee still top two. Cleveland at 3. The Pacers are at 4, but they are only separated by a game between them and Atlanta and Philadelphia. So they're kind of all vying for that 4th spot in the Eastern Conference. Washington, Toronto, New York, and Brooklyn round out your top 10. So Brooklyn back in the conversation for making the playoffs after just a couple more games. It would be exciting to see them play the New York Knicks in a play-in game. I think people would not be able to handle that if it were to come to that, especially the state of New York. So that would be entertaining. We're 19 games in, maybe 20, if your team has played that extra game. But that's how the Eastern Conference is shaking up. Any thoughts on the way that the Eastern Conference looks right now, or or no thoughts?
I think it's shaken out exactly how we were expecting it. I mean, with the Celtics, Milwaukee, and everybody else up there at the top.
Did you see
Who's actually
Cleveland?
who's
Did you see
yeah,
Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell being that 3rd seed over there though? Because I didn't.
yeah.
Uh, I
I
I
mean,
I thought
I
the
did not. Yeah, I did not. But I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, because I thought it would be Celtics, Bucks, and then Brooklyn. It was my top 3. And again, like I said, we're only 19 games in. We're only a fourth of the way through the season, but we're a quarter of the way through, and this is kind of how it looks. And like I said, the play-in game right now would be Brooklyn and New York. I don't know how the state of New York would handle that play-in game for the for the 8th seed, but I would definitely love to see it. But that's how the Eastern Conference looks right now in the West. You got the Phoenix Suns, Denver Nuggets, and the New Orleans Pelicans are in the 3rd spot, followed by the Memphis Grizzlies, the Trailblazers, and the Clippers. Now, remember, the Trailblazers were leading last week in the Western Conference, so they have dropped a couple of games in a row and are now at that 5th spot. The Clippers are looking to try to catch them. They are tied right now. Both of them have an 11-8 record. Utah, Sacramento, Dallas, and Minnesota round out your top 10. Golden State still not in the playoffs as of right now, and the Thunder are right behind them at 8-11. They won their game tonight against the Chicago Bulls, 123-119. So that helps them out in their overall record, but doesn't help them out in the Western Conference, as that is a cross-conference game. So, any thoughts on the West and how it's looking right now? Other than the shock that
I
the
think we'll
Warriors are
see.
still out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's early. So I mean, with the West, I mean, I think we'll see a lot of movement in that board throughout the year. I think Golden State's gonna crawl back up and be a 2 or 3. So I mean, it's just early. I mean, they'll get it figured out. We're talking about the best team in the NBA and the best players. So I mean, just early. You know how it goes. Just early in the season for the West, and then the East is looking how it kind of expected, except for that 3rd team, but the West, I mean, I think it'll fluctuate and move a lot more than looks differently right now. But hopefully the Thunder stay where they're at, looking kind of nice. But we also need a tank, so that's
Yeah,
awkward.
it's awkward because they're being a little bit more competitive than some people thought. 20 games in, they're 8-11. They're not great, but Houston's 4-14, and San Antonio is 6-14. And
We
the
need
late,
SGA to sit down,
yeah, I mean he's been playing out of his
please,
mind.
please.
And well, here's the funny thing for me. Now, imagine this, and I don't want you to, but imagine this: the Lakers are 6-11 right now. What are the chances that the Lakers get that number 1 pick, considering how bad they're playing? Can you imagine LeBron and Victor Wembanyama and all those guys You throw Anthony Davis in there too. I mean, the team would be so stacked, but at the same time, it's like, well, aren't you supposed to be stacked now? Why are you 6-11? But part of me thinks like this is the plan, right? Like if sports are fake, right, and this is a script, and we're just all going off of a script, wouldn't the best script be everybody thinks the Lakers are bouncing back after a tough season? Everybody thinks Russell Westbrook's going to turn around and be a better player, which he has been so far than he was last year. As I said, hard to be worse than last year for him. So it looks like a little bit of a positive uptick in his little stock. But overall, if the Lakers end up being one of these bottom three teams in the NBA. Now you have to throw Detroit, Orlando, and Charlotte in the conversation as well because those are the bottom three in the East. But if they're really in a race to tank for Victor and they've got a shot, would that be worst case scenario for the NBA?
Could be, yeah, most definitely.
I mean, because in my opinion, as a fan, it would be because oh great, the Lakers get another gift. Oh great.
Uh,
Who else but the fucking Lakers? I mean, it's just and the fact that people thought this year the Lakers were going to bounce back and be competitive in the West, and it hasn't really started out that way. It doesn't mean, as we said, it doesn't mean it can't turn around. We're just a quarter of the way through, people. It doesn't mean it can't turn around. But I'm saying right now, it looks like the Lakers are in tank mode as well, and I just didn't expect that from them. I don't know if they're trying to, but they're in tank mode.
yeah, it's been pretty bad, but LeBron James wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe play in the playoff game or whatever.
Yeah, I mean they could be in a. I mean, you want them to be in a play-in game because that means they're doing better than you are. Because right now, Oklahoma City only 2 games or a 1.1 game differential out of uh, the playoffs. So that's just kind of something to look forward to. We'll keep you updated on that as we always do. Heading over to the NFL because I have to throw the NFL a bone here and now. Had some big games
Of course, of course.
over the weekend. Buffalo gets the last second win over the Lions on Thanksgiving. They improved to 8-3, still top of the AFC East, no problems there. The Patriots lose to the Vikings over the weekend. Dallas beats the Giants. Those were the 3 NFL games you had for Turkey Day. Not a lot of movement here. I don't really think, to be honest, anything changed. Here's so Seattle dropped from the top spot in the NFC West to the second spot. Now San Francisco leads the NFC West. But other than that, no real changes over in the NFC. AFC wise, still looking constant as well. Buffalo, Baltimore, Tennessee, and Kansas City lead all divisions over there. Anything to comment NFL wise?
I mean, San Francisco looking sharp. Loved Christian McCaffrey there, and just that game, I believe, on Monday night. That was very fun. They took care of Arizona, even with Kyler Murray not being in there. Still a fun game, and just showed you how good San Francisco can be and how powerful their offense is. But I mean, like you're saying, top of the division there and on their side. So I think everybody's looking pretty good. Any, trying to see if I should add. I think everything's coming shaking out exactly how it's supposed to with the teams we're showing. I think the best obviously being Kansas City. And the Chargers were looking good against them too, but I mean Kansas City is looking obviously unstoppable. And then I'm trying to think who's gonna be in that game. Maybe Tampa Bay. I don't know. You never know with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
I
mean,
mean,
they lead that division at five and
yeah.
five. Um, Same
I think the
record.
NFL is going to shake out in the right way. Best teams being up there at the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't say anything. You covered that really well. Um, so I'm just gonna tease this before we get into our locks of the week here. Men's college basketball rankings right now. North Carolina number 1, Houston number 2, Kansas number 3, and Texas at number 4. Kansas gets the buzzer beater win over Wisconsin on Thanksgiving with an amazing game that was. If you got to catch any of that. Those teams are all undefeated. Virginia also undefeated. Arkansas undefeated. Creighton undefeated. Um, as of the last time they updated this, I don't think they have since then. Um, but I think Creighton lost one game. Let me check. I think they just lost this last week. You can see when they update these. I think they update them on a week basis. Yeah, they just
Yeah, I
lost.
can't wait till March Madness.
Yeah, they lost to Arizona by 2, 81-79. So Creighton no longer perfect. But they lost in the Maui Invitational title game to Arizona. Nothing to frown about. Arizona undefeated on the season, so uh, a lot of animosity. Tennessee doing really well as well. So um, you got got two Big 12 teams in it right now. Three, yeah, I got three in the top four. Sorry, four teams in the top 25 for the Big 12. ACC has 1, 2, 3.
I'm ready.
Got, yeah, they got 3. So they're doing pretty decent. SEC has got 1, 2, 3, 4. So they got 4, and the Big 10 have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I mean, there's some movers and shakers. Kentucky dropped 11 spots from number 4 in the country down to 15. So um, they're still dangerous as far as a team that could go really far in the tournament, but they've lost a little bit of their invincibility. So be it. Gonzaga also dropped 4 spots after losing their first game, but they're still very viable. UCLA is 3-2 after losing 2 straight. They dropped from um, number 8 in the country down to number 19. And some big jumps though. Michigan State jumps 14 spots from being unranked to being ranked number 12 in the country. Tom Izzo and the Spartans, always formidable. But yeah, like you said, this just gets me hyped for March Madness. So we'll keep you guys tabbed on this a little bit more as the college football season winds down. We'll jump into college basketball and give you guys those lines, and we'll start picking college basketball games. So prep yourself for that, because I've never done it, and I don't know if I'm any good at it, and we're about to find out, folks.
My bracket's gonna be stacked this year. I need a winning bracket.
Let's go, baby. So let's go ahead and hit up our locks of the week this week. So last week, locks of the week, Cole went an astounding 0-3. It was a rough week for Cole Murphy and locks of the week. If you got his lock service for locks of the week, your doors were unlocked because people were just walking in stealing your shit.
Robbery.
Yeah. You had OSU plus the 7 against OU. That didn't come through. My Ducks got the win against Utah, so that didn't come through. And the Vikings did not cover the 1.5. They got dominated by the Dallas Cowboys in a game nobody saw going that route. I ended up going 2-1 over the weekend. I picked OU, and I picked LSU to cover the 15 over UAB. They got that easily done. But again, my NFL pick just fucking sucks, and the Jets can't get it fucking done. They lose on a punt return in the last 10 seconds to the Patriots. That game was tied at 6 apiece, and they punted away, and they give up a fucking punt return, and that was all she wrote. So the NFL pick's not going well. Cole, give me on the season right now. Cole is 13-14, and I am 14-13. So we had only one game differential between our locks of the week. We have been very mid with committing our locks of the week. Give me your first one. What's going to be the first one on your list here for lock of the week? For
I might need to check with Ryan Leaf first. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah. I was checking with Ryan Leaf. He apparently is doing fantastic.
Lock of the week. Give me USC.
Ooh, okay, USC minus the 4.5. Got that.
Yep.
USC minus 4.5.
Give me Tennessee for the Titans.
Ooh,
and then give me
So the
Give me
Titans are 2.5-point dogs against the Bengals.
Cincinnati.
So
And then
I
give me
I kind of like that pick though. Give me another college game.
give me for my third pick, brought to you by Ballscape. It's tough. Who should we do for that next college game, or I should do?
So here's a couple other games you could throw out there.
I guess we have to do the Ohio State game because that's a
Oh,
big
okay.
rivalry.
Okay. So
Go Ohio State Buckeyes.
So Ohio State minus the 8. Okay. All right. So my first lock of the week, lock it in. I'm taking the TCU Horned Frogs.
Ooh, I like that.
Minus the 9.5 against Iowa State. My second.
Can we add a fourth lock of the week, or is that illegal?
Illegal. You can replace one if you want. You want to replace your USC or Ohio State game?
I really like that. I really like the TCU game. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you like the TCU better than your Ohio State pick, or better than
No, but I like the TCU. I like the Tennessee, the TCU, and the Ohio State pick.
Okay.
And like if we can throw a fourth one, I'll put the USC game. But if
so
not,
I'll change
that.
I like that. Okay, TCU minus 9.5. I got it changed.
It's
All right,
locked.
It's locked now. Locked. Look, my second game, I'm going off the rails here. I am picking Georgia Tech plus the 36. Georgia Tech plus 36 against Georgia. There's no way Georgia beats them by 36 points. No way.
Okay, fair enough.
Georgia Tech just beat North Carolina. They're feeling probably pretty good coming into this game. They still probably lose by 20, but they're not gonna lose by 36. I just don't think that. I just don't think Georgia is that team. So that is my second lock of the weekend. God, for my NFL lock, I apologize if any of you are fans of any of these teams, because I am picking you to death. Boy, Sunday. You know what? I am going to pick the Carolina Panthers +1 against the Denver Broncos. Fuck the Denver Broncos. I'm picking the Panthers.
Broncos country. That's right.
That's right. Straight to an L, brother. Look, I mean, Denver lost to Las Vegas last week, which those teams were both 2-something and are terrible, and Denver lost that game. And with Baker Mayfield being back at the starting position for the Panthers, I like Carolina here to get the job done. So those are my locks of the week. Well, we've made it. Episode 13 in the books here on the S0ner Sports Radio podcast. Cole, any final thoughts for this weekend?
Go Buckeyes. Looks like some great games this week. So a little into the rivalry week. So it should be a good week.
Yeah, I agree. And as for me, for S0ner Sports Radio After Dark, I'm Will Warner, Cole Murphy, and good night, America.